Village of Washingtonville. If we could all please rise for the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance
to the flag of the United States of America, to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Good evening, everyone. Welcome once again to the Village of Washingtonville for the presentation of the 2023-2024 budget. We are printing this screen that you see here right now to hand out, so as soon as they are finished. If you did not receive a copy of the three budgets, the multi-fund, the water fund, and the sewer fund, we have them up here at the table. What we see up here is the A fund, the multi-fund, the income anticipated really for this fund. The only real number that we have is the real property taxes. So it's broken into real property taxes as well as non-property taxes, which goes to Orange County sales tax, utilities, gross receipts, that's Orange and Rockland. You get a percentage of the billing that they make or that they send out and receive. Franchises, Spectrum for Time Warner Cable. Sometimes we get checks MCI, they come in. Sometimes we get a check that's sent through the mail for, I think it was 3 cents. And it has a stamp of 52 cents or 55 cents, whatever. Okay, so we're anticipating that we will receive $2,511,205. $2,511,933 to bring a total budget of this year of $6,825,876. We have the breakdown. So if we look at the multi-fund, what goes to the taxes is the multi-fund. The water and sewer do not raise your taxes, do not lower your taxes. They're separate funds all by themselves. So we have here the Village Hall, the 2023-2024 is this proposal. You can see all the way on the right-hand side the 2022-2023 taxes, or line items rather. And in the middle is the change. Numbers in parentheses are negative numbers. That's how much it was reduced. So we're looking at this number here, $6,825,876 coming to this same number here. So the budget that we are proposing tonight is balanced. We have the breakdown. We have village trustees personnel service. You see $10,000. Okay, it's $10,000 also goes into sewer. $10,000 also goes into the water because they are working on all three accounts. The deputy mayor, $4,000 in multi, $4,000 in water, $4,000 in sewer. The mayor professional service, $5,000 period. Not carrying it over to the sewer or the water. Village clerk personnel service, justice personnel. We removed, last year actually, we removed the deputy mayor justice, the court clerk overtime, clerical positions. We have 2 prosecutors for the court, treasurer, village hall, miscellaneous contractual, village hall, Orange County Post, really it's the courier. They changed the name. Village hall security, fire alarm, justice training, and postage. Next section is the multi-fund. This is where we have our legal. We have a codification of laws. We also have a comprehensive plan. actuary services, legal notices, the website election supplies, Blackboard Connect, that's the robocalls that go out in case of emergencies. You might be getting one tomorrow morning, if it's not too late tonight. Village Hall, part of the election, we have election supplies, election supplies, as well as election custodian. Shared services, where everything comes in village-wide, office supplies, memberships, tolls, meals, part of the contracts for DPW, if they're out for so many hours, like tonight they might be, we need to provide them with food. 2 years ago, 3 years ago, I don't think they went home for 4 days. We have the village auditors, printing, telephone, payroll system, gasoline, internet service, maintenance of buildings, books, computer software, insurance, gas pump repairs, professional services for the IT, telephone maintenance, IT equipment, utilities, first aid, and you see here that we removed because it was sent to another line item. Specialties, special items, general government, MPA tax, we removed the contingent personnel expense. We have the contingency in case we go over budgeted. Just so you know, in the 5 years, we've never gone over our budget. We always fell well short in the numbers. And I thank the chief, Zaccaro, Superintendent Martino, who's not here, and Christine, the village clerk, for watching the budget as closely as we, as a board, has. The police, we have full-time, also nighttime differential, police overtime, patrol, school police, SROs for the school buildings, police dispatchers, part-time dispatchers, officer equipment. The generator was removed, vest replacement, there's a few vests that have to be replaced this year. So that's in this line item. Also, we did receive a $48,000 grant, I believe, Chief, right? It came in last night, not by check, by ACH. So if we scroll down to that budget, we're looking at $2,488,685. It went up just a little bit over $100,000. Public safety, just signage is still remaining in this category. Sanitation, and what I mean by the sanitation, DEC projects. DEC has handed us a lot of consent orders throughout the years. They came here, I guess it was about maybe 3 years ago, 4 years ago. They did a complete audit of the village, and after their going around the village, we did receive that this was their worst audit ever. So this is why we've been doing a lot of the projects that you see around the village, the drainage, just to get the water moving where it needs to go. Instead of people's houses, it goes into the creek. Code enforcement, it's our building department, code enforcing. Highway superintendent, highways and streets. And again, the street superintendent, the village clerk, office personnel is divided over 3 categories. It goes into 3 different budgets. You can see here there was a decrease of just over $28,000. Parks, a decrease of $76,000. Youth recreation, decrease of $11,000. This is a program that Diane Jansen works at. She does a great job with it. Everything at the CYO building, it's self-sufficient. Culture, celebrations. That's our parades are in the next category. Zoning and planning. Community environment. It's a decrease of just under $27,000. But this year you have the garbage pickup, the pet stations, streetlights in the utilities. You know, the most important thing when streetlights are out, to please call the village hall or go online, fill out the incident report, because we pay for the lights whether they're on or off. So it's important to make sure that they're all on, okay? Orange and Rockland has been doing a good job replacing the lights to LED, which to me I think is a much better light. We have our employee benefits. Our debt service. Okay, these are bands that became bonds. We had to reissue bonds. Now the sweeper, we're waiting on a grant from the sweeper. We had an agreement, an intermunicipal agreement of $250,000 for the sweeper. Somehow lawyers got involved and no one knows where it is. So we repurposed that grant. Okay, strictly it was going to be between the Village of Washingtonville, Town of Blooming Grove, and Village of South Blooming Grove, where the Village of Washingtonville would be the custodian of it. And we would have one person operating this machine going through all three municipalities. Being that, like I said, some lawyers got involved and no one knows where it is, we repurposed it where it just stays here in the Village of Washingtonville and operated by one of our Department of Public Works person. We have the water fund. Again, water and sewer have nothing to do with our tax base. Let me go back. Okay, water meter rents. Looking at $848,424 this year. Water administration. You can see it fell under, or just over just under $33,000. Professional services, as you know, we have an outside contractor for our wastewater plant. Story behind that is 5.5 years ago, the wastewater operator resigned. He took on another job in the city of Middletown. We had no one licensed in the village. We gave employees chances to get those licenses. They were unable to, so we really had no choice but to go out and get licensed engineers to operate our wastewater plant. And you see here our water. Water operations, the equipment, the utilities, pump station repairs. Now, we pretty much repaired all the pump stations in the village this year, so this is something was to happen. Purification, chemicals. We are in the process right now of hooking up a well at Memorial Park. After testing, we're able to hook it up into our water system, so hopefully we're never going to be under a water crisis again here in the village. And we're working on other wells throughout the village. Water employee benefits. We have the debt service. We don't have a debt service for the water. We paid that off. Sewer fund, you see here the rent's $971,000, interest and penalties $50,000, appropriated fund balance $180,000. Sewer administration, again, we lumped the groups together. Professional services, engineering contractual services, that's our wastewater operators. Sewer specialties, sewer operations, this is really where a lot of the money is spent. And if I'm reading this correctly, okay, the chemicals that we need for the wastewater plant, the testing, obviously, removal of the sludge. It's our plan as we move forward to make our brand-new wastewater plant capable of handling the septic companies that you see running around the village and town, where we could have them come into our wastewater plant, as long as it's not at capacity, never should be at capacity. That money should generate enough income where we could possibly say to everyone in the village, you don't have a sewer fee anymore. They're paying for that, okay? That's the goal. Sewer employees and the sewer debt. Okay, this is our bond on the wastewater plant, as well as there was a bond taken out several years ago. We're still paying it off for wastewater. And the back of your sheet, the back of your package, you'll see 2022-23 tax levy was $3,761,090. They have a 3% increase. So I kept hearing that we're gonna have a 35%, 65%. It's a 3% increase over the 5 years that we never raised the budget. And believe me, everyone here, up here, including myself, has to pay for this. So we have tax levy of $3,873,873,000. Sounded very good at the comments. $922.70, which brings a rate per thousand of $50.46, so $47. $50.47. Questions from the board, and then we'll go into questions from, I'm sure the public has some questions. Okay, no questions here from the board. If there's any questions from the public, please stand, state your name. I could give you the microphone. Oh, I'm sorry. You want to read the list? You want the microphone?
No, you could just open the public hearing, that's fine.
Oh, okay. So we want to close the public, open up the public. Motion to open up the public hearing, motion made by trustee Kolar. Trustee Sampson, second. Roll call, trustee Kolar.
Yes.
Trustee Sampson.
Yes.
Trustee Kolar.
Yes.
Deputy Mayor Legato. Mayor Bucker, yes. Okay. We have a list, huh? We have a list of names that
First one is Donna Giacaruso.
Donna Giacoruso.
Don Giacaruso, 39 Woodfield Drive. Just a few questions, a couple of things that stood out to me. The planner is the planner on the budget?
Yes,
Yeah, he's okay.
Oh.
yeah, it's in the comprehensive.
And what was the
plan.
amount? Because I don't have the revised, I only have the
There's
preliminary.
copies up here.
Because I thought it was 80 originally, and that was stated at one point. A part-time treasurer, I was at that meeting, there was a resolution made for a part-time salary of $40,000. The preliminary, the new is showing 13,500,
For the treasurer.
the treasurer.
Yeah, it's in three funds.
Sorry?
It's in the three funds, multi-fund.
Oh, okay, all right.
Okay.
And I'm not clear on this, because this is with the mayor's also, the 15 to the 5, is that in?
It's only five,
It is only 5,
only five.
okay. So according to the state website, our financial reports have not been submitted since 2018.
Okay,
Is there a reason why? I mean, it was my understanding, and I'm seeing grants in there, but I thought we were not eligible for grants if our financials were not submitted. The other thing is, I mean, that's the fiscal stress monitoring system. We have a 0 rating. They can't rate us because we've not submitted since 2018.
okay. They have gotten a lot of years, Leslie,
Correct.
right?
We're in the process of submitting them all and being up to date. For the next few months, they'll get all the back years.
And that's
And next is Susan Wolski.
Susan Molsky, 24 South Street. Your current budget, we were just handed this today, does not show what your actual income was from 2022 to 2023 year. You are saying that you're getting real property taxes, you're estimated next year, including with your 3% increase, $3,873,919. According to the last year's proposed budget, the real property taxes were $3,967,124.08. I don't understand how you could be getting less in taxes, even if I were to take into consideration the re-levy. The re-levy for the village taxes for the past year was $85,020.35. So that difference doesn't make there, and besides the fact you're paid on the re-levies anyway. That's my first question. I'll go fast. You have a pilot that you're receiving $15,000 for the solar. That has not appeared on last year's statements. So when is that pilot due to start? How long is the pilot? There's no information out there on that. Zoning and planning board fees, you anticipated an income of $11,500. You did not, you did hire a secretary for the planning board and zoning board. That's supposed to be paid out of application fees. However, the application fees, there's been no resolution to increase them. Again, as Donna had said, there was a resolution passed by this board to pay a planner $80,000. You're only recording $55,000. You're anticipating an income of mortgage tax of $155,000. Local economists, as well as state and national economists, are already stating there's going to be a 20% decrease in mortgage applications over the next year. Was that taken into consideration when you came up with this number?
Yes. To answer that question, yes.
What did you receive last year in mortgage tax
Um,
income?
Do we have that?
Yeah.
Just give us a minute, Ms. Wilson.
Okay.
I think it was like 1:45. Okay, any other questions?
Yes, you do not break out what you call shared services, so as a resident, it is impossible for me to know what the cost is to run the police department building, because you've mingled in the electric bills with all the electric bills, all the internet services. So that needs to be broken out, so we can at least know what's being proposed there. You have drastic cuts to what's benefits for employees. I want to know, are any town, any village employees going to be let go?
No. No village employees will be let go. Period.
Okay.
Next is David Dunn.
What?
David Dunn.
Name's David Dunn, 1 Lincoln Drive. Questions I have, most of them have been asked already, but on the village auditors, is that put out on bid, or how do they select the auditors?
It's a professional service, so bidding is not required. We use right now O'Connor Davies. We used to use Nugent Hausler.
Okay, and maybe I'm done, but what's the comprehensive plan consist of?
Comprehensive plan consists of a story for the village of Washingtonville, historical, and our zoning, it backs into the zoning, where zoning backs into the comprehensive plan. Something that was never done here. And we did get a contract for $80,000, right? And if we need to, if that $80,000 is within this budget year, then we will find money in the budget to pay that. I'm looking probably into the next year for the final payment.
It seems like if that goes back into one of the other items, that should show that.
We don't know if it is, it's going to. We don't know now if that will ever happen. All I can say is, we've never gone over our budget, and hopefully this year we won't either.
Well, I don't think any of the seniors can afford to go over their budget.
Neither could we.
All right.
Pat Mitchell.
Yes. Pat Mitchell, and I'm approaching this from the point of view of the insurance. I see a very low figure here for insurance, so I'd like to know where the environmental insurance is, the demolition insurance coverages, where these go for battery coverages for our policemen. I'd like to know where all of those coverages are. With these low figures, we can't possibly have the adequate insurance. And I know that your insurance broker is an excellent broker. They would have given you prices, and it doesn't look like we have proper insurance. All the insurance for all of my clients last year and the year before and this year have gone up 20 to 55%. So I find this very hard to believe. I have actual examples and backup, so I need to know what lines of insurance you have. I see no proper workers' comp here. It's in another area. But depending, if the office workers have a cheap rate of 12 cents per 100, but the people that are working out in the field have a very high rate. The contracting rate is high. So I'm concerned about all of that. All of that's gonna lead to lawsuits for no insurance. And the security is very important. Your policemen are not being properly covered. They should be. And that's it. These are figures I will never believe. I'm sorry.
Ready? Tom DeVinco.
Thank you. 7 Maple Court. As already mentioned, the real property taxes are less than last year by almost $95,000. How's that possible?
It was miscalculated last year with the number of the real taxes last year were lower than we had originally budgeted for, but the fact that we didn't go over budget made up for that amount of money.
Okay, so what was
Does that make sense?
what was the actual then for last year?
3,761,000.
3,761,000.
Yeah, that was the actual amount that was billed to the residents.
$3,761,000.
Yeah.
Okay. Also in the Orange County sales tax, we have 1.3. The information I have, that number looks like more than one, is more like 1,188,000. So that's a difference, a little over $100,000. How is
How do you get, where'd that number come from?
Orange County?
And they know what they're gonna pay us already?
Apparently.
Oh, good,
So just so you know, you're 100 grand over.
okay.
Also, the pilot program which was mentioned for the solar farm, what was the anticipated tax before the pilot program was instituted?
On property tax, it was agricultural where the solar farm is.
Okay.
All right,
It's my understanding that property is still RA, residential agricultural.
yes.
Okay. So what was for the acreage that covers the solar farm, what was the anticipated revenue for that section?
I don't have that number offhand.
Because obviously, generally speaking, a pilot is to give some financial benefit to the owner. Correct? So I guess at the end of the day, why would we be giving a pilot to a solar farm who's going to be making revenue and money based upon either leases or that they bought it? Why would we want to enter into that? if
But this
we're-
is the third pilot that this village has, the fourth pilot, I'm sorry, that this village has. We have Rocky Point, Rocky Knoll is pilot.
Right.
We also have Stonehill, which is pilot.
Right, and the reason for that is because the seniors, we don't want to bang them full freight
But one of them is federal housing.
for
Actually, two of
taxes.
them, I believe, are federal housing.
But in this case, this is,
Yeah.
a general businessman putting in a solar farm, and we're giving him tax benefits for 15 years.
Yes. So there goes, Don, I think you asked that question, how many years? 15.
And then what about the EES, the electrical battery system? Is that going to be a pilot as well?
It's in the whole agreement that was made 2 years ago, 3 years ago. Correct? Could be even longer than that. We could get that agreement to you.
Okay. Yeah, because I talked to John and I had spoiled that information probably 3 weeks ago or so. Fines and forfeit, that's going up at least 25,000 to 150,000.
Don't speed,
What's that?
don't speed.
How much revenue is coming in on the, when we pull over tractor trailers and CDL type vehicles? Do we know the revenue on that? Because that seems to be a
We'll have
big
the
number.
estimate. Yeah, we'll have the estimate.
Okay. Chips also seems to be a little elevated based upon the state by maybe 40K.
We have a cumulative rollover of $250,000 for chips.
I'm sorry?
We have a cumulative rollover right now of $250,000 for chips.
Right. As far as the mortgage tax is concerned, that looks like it went down compared to last year. Any reason behind the mortgage tax going down?
So,
answer on that, I'd appreciate that. Was there an answer, or you gotta research that?
The mortgage tax went from 90,000 last year. That's what I have on the budget that's posted from last year, 90,000.
Okay, then I'm more confused then, because if that's going up and the real property tax is going down, I don't know, that doesn't make much
The real
sense.
property tax didn't go down. It was a wrong number last year, okay? That's being addressed right now, and the state will have it, I think, by the end of the week, if I'm not mistaken. Okay, where the budget will be balanced as far as they're concerned, which would also solve a lot of the problems or questions regarding stress
Mm-hmm,
and everything else that everyone is
okay.
concerned.
On permits, that number went up about 125,000 to 160,000.
Yes.
Now, if we're in a moratorium for a good year or so, how could we expect that number to go up?
You're not allowed to build new homes, but people are still working on their home. They're still putting decks, fences, so forth. Fire inspections.
Fire
Now,
inspections
We actually have a
during the
building
permit?
department that's collecting fees for work that was probably already done. People fail to get COs, they fail to get
Yeah.
permits and so forth.
The other thing that would have been helpful for the audience, I believe, is that if the revenues, along with the expenses, were included in the report, so that these questions, potentially would have been already answered. Most of this seems to be in the budget that was delivered on February 6th, but the budget that we just received tonight seems to be more summarized and things are more categorized, and all of that stuff is basically hidden behind one big number, and you don't know what the details are behind it. So, the reason for, I guess, the additional questions, but I still think 160,000. Do we know what, all right, so from an expense standpoint, do we know what came through the building department last year?
I believe it was like 148, if I'm not mistaken.
All right. Unclassified revenues, what is that?
Could be insurance, is coming in, or just, as it says, unclassified. Sometimes the state just sends things. That doesn't make any sense.
No.
Uh,
Especially when I'm talking $645,000, well, 645, 497,
Unclassified
re-
revenues,
yeah.
I'm looking at 2,600.
Yeah, but last year it was 645, 497.
Yeah.
You were in
So
the
that could be
hundreds
the
of
mayor's
thousands.
salary then, unclassified. I'm putting it in,
Oh, is that where the mayor's salary went?
yeah.
I see, nice. Alrighty then.
And we
I
could
guess
put the
while,
rest-
while we
could
just
put the
mentioned
rest
the
of
mayor's salary,
We could
what-
put the
what
rest of the
prompted
mayor's
the re-
salary in something else.
so what prompted the reduction of 10 grand in your salary?
It was a $15,000 salary.
Right,
And I always said that I would do this job for
you would do the job for what?
free,
For free.
so I'm working towards free.
But isn't it like 2 terms ago, you raised it to, I think at the time it was like 11-ish, and then it went to 15,
Which allows me to bring it down. right?
and now all of a sudden we want to just drop it to 5.
Yes. The golf course fees came down.
God bless America.
And then what about the rest of the board salaries though, because they all came down as well.
No, they did not.
No, they stayed the same, according to what they
They
said.
were over three budgets. Three multi-fund, water funds. They don't play golf.
Okay.
So we're going to do it for free, does that mean it's a goose egg now?
No, it's 5,000.
Fine. Okay. So again, not knowing, last year's number was 7,092,000. This number we're talking is 684, 6842351. So that's a difference in a negative of 250,028.
What numbers are you looking at?
Well, I'm kind of looking at what we received on the 6th and 7th, because
That was a
there is no way in
preliminary
heck in time that I would have the ability to scan everything that was just dropped in our laps
budget. That
tonight.
was a preliminary budget,
I understand.
okay?
But
This
when
is
you
the
can't-
budget for
You have to
adoption.
understand
That's
that
fine, but we got it
no one
sitting here.
had 4 minutes to look at this, to digest it, to make any heads or tails of it, compared to what was done. It's stapled differently, it's more consolidated, so it just makes the process a little harder on us. So there's a clerical position in the village hall that appears to have been eliminated. You know what that position is? It says
No.
clerical personnel.
No positions have been eliminated. That was stated earlier. No one in this village will lose a job.
So we have a court clerk that we get. We have the overtime. Clerical personnel would be what position?
The overtime would be the court clerk.
Right, but in 5105, which is clerical personnel, what position is that? I mean, obviously, I can see we have our treasurer here, but what would be the title of that particular person?
Just clerical.
Maybe that's the clerical part of the mayor's job.
I'm sorry?
Maybe that's the clerical part of the mayor's job.
Um,
No. Thank you.
So that's a question, because at the end of the day, we have the full-time clerk, and we have Joan at the front desk, and she's full-time. The status of the other folks are water billing, and what else do we have?
Sophie, who just does, picks up clerical work with Christine, clerical work with water.
Okay, because it just seems like we're missing something in that space. And now the treasurer is split amongst all three funds?
Yes.
It was already mentioned about the comprehensive plan being at 55, but kind of through the meetings, we were told it's 80-ish. Was he given any money up front?
He was given a check, yes. Not up front, after he started doing work.
Said to the work. How is that contract broken out in a percentage-wise?
He bills us, the contract is, when he does the work, he bills us for it.
Based upon that project plan? Okay. Blackboard, that went down 3,000 for maintenance. I also kind of agree with the young lady behind me in regards to insurance. I mean, in the shared services, it says insurance, but it doesn't say particularly what insurance it's related to. So is that automobile, is that personal, life insurance?
Life insurance is separate than any other insurance,
Okay,
as is dental. The insurance that we're talking about here is buildings, cars.
okay. The next line, 1628, talks about engineering, moves to sanitation. On the sanitation page, there is no engineering, just,
Yes. The drainage, storm sewer drainage, is part of the DEC projects.
is the
$70,000.
engineering in that, or it should be a separate line, right? So you know what you're paying your engineers? Utilities went up $59,000. What utilities would be for shared services? Is that
Everything that we,
in all buildings?
and streetlights, so.
That includes streetlights. MTA tax,
I think.
that went down 21,000? I haven't seen that happen yet.
MTA tax has always been part of the budget, yeah.
I understand that, but it went down 30,000 or 21,000.
Because the salaries are allocated to water sewer, so that one.
They canceled the trains coming through the village.
Oh. No more milk getting picked up at
I don't
Borden?
think so. You can pick it up at Stewart's.
I do. Contingency on the payroll? It went down 35. Was that money put aside for what? Since it's in contingency.
That was not, it's personal expenses, not payroll.
What would you govern as personal expenses?
We never used it, so I couldn't tell you. That's why it was taken out.
Okay. What's the difference in the police side now? Just a quick question. And I knew they do a really great job around and protect us and do everything. Just a question between part-time school police and the SROs. What's the difference between those
We have an SRO in the building, a full-time police officer.
in all the buildings?
No.
But do we also add an additional?
No. We have one full-time SRO in the high school,
Yeah,
okay, and we have four part-time school police. They rotate.